It's no secret that writing can be lonely work, but does it really have to be? Whether you're full-time, part-time, or just starting out, you'll get insights into the tricks, tips, and production habits of writers from every level of the biz. From best-selling authors to those launching their first novels, you're sure to be in the company of friends as we encourage great writers to divulge and share their secrets. This is the Great Writers Share podcast with your host, best-selling author, Daniel Wilcox.
Hello and welcome to the Great Writers Share podcast, where every week we hijack an hour or so of time from some of the kindest and hardest working writers around today to discuss everything that makes them tick, roar and bounce. Today is a special episode because this will be launching, if I've done my calendar correctly, which I most likely haven't, is New Year's Day. So happy 2021. And today I am joined by every single one of the most beautiful and fabulous Great Writers Share, I was going to say narrators then, but hosts that we have. So one at a time, say hi, Faye.
Hi.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
Hi, Holly.
I was totally going to do what John did. Hi.
You should have just said hi, John, as well. Why not?
Right.
Just steal it. Just keep working around. So today we're going to go into, we're going to do a slightly different bit of format for this week. We're going to forego the usual intro. We're just going to have a bit of a chat with us four writers, speak about what our plans are for next year, speak about a little bit of some of the lessons learned and what we've done this year and like the things that we're thankful for, and just take it from there, because Jesus Christ, this year has been a year and a half.
It's been a year and a half crammed into 1 year somehow.
Yeah, definitely.
Does anyone else feel like January and February doesn't exist? Like, the more people I say this to, the more it's just like it didn't, that those 2 months just didn't happen this year.
Because everything was so perfect still, and then all of a sudden it's like, bah!
It's literally like getting plugged into the Matrix and just thinking everything else before was just bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have this weird problem when I'm speaking to people about things that happened a couple of years ago. It all just feels like a month or two ago, because I just discount 2020, and then they go, that doesn't sound right. That was only 2 months ago. And I go, oh no, hold on. Yeah, we've actually been in lockdown for 10 months. So add 10 onto that. It's actually been 12 months ago. It's just been mad.
So as of the day this goes out would be exactly a year since the hiatus of Great Writers Share, in which there was a 6-7 week period in which the show was just on pause. Like that, like you guys weren't even conceived of being on the show at all. You weren't even conceived then. Like, but like the idea of this, the idea of having more people on the show, it hadn't even crossed my mind at that point. Like at that point, I was like, okay, how do I get this show back and going again? And then obviously, I'm going to do this a lot because I've realized, I mean, this is where time is. Anytime I try to think like back in whatever month, I go blank because I don't remember the months for this year. So back at some point in 2020, we launched this on episode 50, which is,
I think it was August. It was August.
It was a few days after my birthday, I think.
I would have guessed June.
We've got 3 August birthdays in this host group, right?
Yeah.
So that's
the
why
odd one out.
Yeah.
You are.
Yes, you are.
That's just
because you're a whatever that zodiac
Aries.
is.
I'm an Aries. Baby. I'm a Ram. But despite all of the clusterfuckery of 2020, there are some things to be thankful for, and actually quite a lot of things to be thankful for if you can dig deep. And I figured that we'd start off by basically just taking some things that we've been thankful for this year. So I'm going to pick on Holly. Why don't you go first and tell us one thing that you're thankful for?
My amazing friends, you guys and other people in the writing community who have really had my back this year. And it's been a year, and I don't think I would have got through it without the support of my friends. So yeah, I'm extremely thankful.
Beautiful. Faye.
I am going to do a huge shout out to Sacha and the Rebel Author Group, because if it wasn't for them, I would have not even remotely worked on this book. I would have never met Dan and Holly and John and all the amazing people that I've met. And I mean, Sacha, you're amazing. Thank you. Love you.
Because was it at the beginning of this year that you were already thinking of taking this, or was it sort of a couple of months into 2020 that you were like, okay, I'm going to start taking writing seriously? Because obviously, out of all of us, you're the freshest face to the writing group.
I joined the Rebel Author group in April because I had seen the live stream with Meg Latour, Jenna Morassi, and Sacha Black, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
That was this year. And so much has changed. I don't know, you've got some very, very exciting things coming up, so I'm excited for you.
I know, I'm excited.
So, hold on, can we dig into that just a second? So that was during the first lockdown. Was the States in lockdown as well in April? Because we started in the UK in March, right? That was when we had the lockdown.
Yeah, we were March 17th.
Yeah, but I have not personally locked down. I've been going to work every single day. Nothing has changed in my daily life. Besides, I was like, binge all these YouTube things and see if I can do it on my own. No, I need help. And then, everyone in the Rebel Author group is so supportive and so helpful. There's not a mean person in the bunch, and it's great.
Faye, you're a testament to, because I'm not going to say too much because I feel like I might embarrass you with some stuff, but like,
Well.
I think I can find a way. But you're like in the beginning, because I became aware of you through a couple of Facebook groups, a couple of Facebook live videos, just seeing you comment a lot in the boxes. And I think you're a testament to the example of someone. The other day I was on a collaboration talk with Meg Latour, and someone was asking about how you get your name out in the community, how you kind of get out there and start collaborating with people. And it's a testament to, like, I just saw your name pop up a lot, and I saw you enthusiastic, and I saw you eager, and I saw you asking like all these questions that I'm like, they're the right questions to ask. And because of that then led to us having conversations, and now you're here. So anyone who's thinking about like trying to just get more involved in the community, just be a part of the community.
Just plug your nose and dive into the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
You definitely did.
Yeah.
That is true of so many things in life. Good advice.
Jon, your turn.
I put for my first one, I was grateful because I'll be honest, I struggled initially to think what I was grateful for about 2020 because 2020 has been a bit of a shit show. But I put as my first one that it stress tested my life, which I'll explain a little bit. Like, I think when I came into 2020, I was sort of blasé about it, and I had all these little habits and rituals that sort of kept me sane, and they all got destroyed as soon as lockdown came into place. And I sort of had to take a look at things and go, oh wow, because I had a really big slump. I think I've spoken about it in some of the Q&As and stuff, when I wasn't writing or doing anything for months and months when it all first started to get bad. And yeah, I'm kind of grateful for that. Like when you start coming out the other side, we're recording this in December, and I'm feeling really optimistic about the future again. And I have been since, maybe around the start of November. So I can look back on that, like losing that structure that I had, which was a bad thing initially, but now I can see is actually, I'm so much stronger for it now, if that makes sense.
Mm. Do you think you can go back to that routine? Like if things went normal again, do you think that's where you'd end up? Or do you think there would be substantial changes?
No, I think we're all changed by this year. I don't think that you can, I think we're all changed all the time. If you're not changing, then what's the point? We're all changing all the time, even in times of kind of when things are normal. But yeah, no, I don't think there's ever the opportunity to go back. Even if we're talking at the end of 2019, it would still be the future's. I'm changed for it. I'm changed for what I've gone through.
What was maybe gone?
I was going to say that's that expression, stasis equals death. Like you have to evolve. You have to just go with it, or you're not going to make it.
100%. What was a change that maybe surprised you? Something, maybe it was like a belief that you were holding on to that you thought was like firm, but now you know it's bullshit.
Oh, a belief that I was holding on to. I'm not sure. I guess a simple surface level, that just those rituals that I was talking about, that I needed those because clearly I didn't, the structure and things that I was putting in my life. I'm a big structure guy. I like I eat the same things every day, or I have my meal times and things like that. work out and exercise at the same times. I have days where things happen, and I really like that, and I still do, but maybe I'm a little bit more flexible now. I'm not sure if that answers your question. It's a good question though. I'll think about that, and something will pop into my head, and I might
I know
shout
that
it out randomly.
mine tends to come in cycles. Like one thing that I know I used to do is I used to write like all out. Like I'd be able to write any hour of the day because that was all I had. And then since going full time, I became very religious on I have to write at these times in the morning. And don't get me wrong, like I'm definitely more productive at those times. A bit like what we were talking about at one point in boot camp, John, where like the evening surprised you a little bit, and with Holly, the morning surprised you as well. But you even though you know that you've done things before, you start to like compress your belief of what you think you can and can't do because of your situation. And then, like you say, when it suddenly explodes again, you're like, oh, now I have to find ways around it that maybe I hadn't had to do before. Before I say mine, I do want to just dig into Holly's a little bit as well. Was there anything? What was the biggest surprise for you in terms of friendships and stuff? Because obviously you've been in this game since 2014. 2013, and you know, community is always a part of the journey, but what was it particularly this year that kind of speaks to you?
Oh, I think because we were forced to be apart, and obviously in this community, you know, we're all over the world anyway, so it's not like I was deprived of seeing people every day that I was used to seeing. But you know, I have a group of friends locally. We get together every couple of months. Includes Meg Cowley, Ali Ingleby, a couple of other people.
All people have been on this show.
Yeah. And we couldn't do that. And so, you know, everyone's had to get a bit creative with how we connect with each other. And I've formed connections with some different people and deepened my connections with others. And it's surprised me. I think the people who I've drifted away from and the people I've gravitated towards, you know, and I've connected with people about other things other than writing as well, found other things in common. And yeah, and then obviously your boot camp, Nano for me this year was a completely different ball game, and I've done it 4 times before. And connecting with my fellow horsewomen of the Nanocalypse. Yeah, we're friends for life, and I'm not using that phrase lightly. There's a real bond there that,
because I'm going to piggyback off yours and say as well community, because I've known since I first got in this game, and that was back in 2015, the power of networking, the power of meeting people, the power of forging those connections. And that's how I got involved with Hawk and Cleaver to start with. And we still have very, very strong friendships. We're all in slightly different places now because of different projects, because of time and whatnot. Still very, very good friends with obviously my co-writer, Luke Condor. But because of a lot of things that happened in my personal life from like the last few years, I didn't shy away from those sort of forging those real connections, but I didn't actively shy away. But I found myself kind of like retreating back a bit while I focus on a lot of personal life stuff, as you do. And when you're in sort of, and I'm going to make this sound worse than it is just because of the word choice, but personal like crisis and trauma and stuff, you start to rely on the people closest to you who are there physically. So you have like your family, you have your like the friends around you. Since, you know, things have moved on, and the last few years specifically, like just grown within the writing game, met more and more people. Like I've been around some amazing people of different skill levels, just different like life experiences, and just it's a real privilege to be a part of this community. But then something happened this year, and her name was Sacha Black. And I wasn't going to call her out specifically, but I am, since Faye did it as well anyway. But there was something in that interaction that, you know, started the Next Level Author podcasts, kind of like just, it challenged a lot of my thinking. And it challenged a lot of like how far I believed I could push relationships digitally, if that makes sense. Because there was always a part of me that was like, all of these relationships are digital. What's it going to be like when you meet people in real life? And I have met people. I've met people at like the Edinburgh, the 20 Books Conference, the 20 Books London Conference. I've met people there that I've met online. But there's just been something about this year where, as time's gone by, and whether it's like my own personal journey or whatever it is, I just feel much more able to be myself, be transparent, be honest, to connect. And I think one part of that, and this probably feeds a little bit into ego, is that I feel like it's been received well, if that makes sense. So like there's been good feedback from people in just me being who I am and trying to like help others in some of the parts of the journey that I'm on. And I think since I've been receiving that now, I'm able to let go a lot more and just forge stronger friendships with people who I haven't met in person. I've not met one of you in real life
Yet.
Soon, September, the Career Author Summit.
Yes.
If you haven't got your tickets, get it now. We are not affiliated. That is not a plug, but it will be fun. So you're welcome, Jay and Zach. Jesus Christ, I should be an affiliate. But yeah, I think just broadly community, and particularly in times of stress and turmoil, does a lot. Like I think me and John, our first actual face-on-face interaction might have been the Hawk and Cleaver room that we opened up around March time when the pandemic hit, and we just did like an open lunchtime room for people to drop in on.
Yeah, maybe it could have been. I can't remember when we recorded.
No, yeah, you're right, because we did the episode before that.
But that was kind of unnatural, because when you record a podcast, despite if you get on well with the person, it is an odd way to meet someone for the first time. That was a really good part of the early lockdown for me, was that kind of lunchtime slot that we had, because like Dan says, the Hawk and Cleaver guys, there's a little community there. It's really I credit it a lot to why I started publishing, was because of that community, because it's so supportive. And it was very small. It's actually opened up since, because you guys have the Patreon now, and it's all opened up on Discord. But when it first started life, it was just a behind the scenes group for writers, narrators. There was probably only about 20 or so people on there. And we would jump on at lunchtime. Someone would open a Zoom. You didn't have to stick around. You didn't even have to talk. Sometimes we were just sitting and eating lunch or whatever it was around that time, and it made you feel like you weren't quite alone, which was very nice.
It was nice as well. There's a lot of narrators in our group that I've never spoken to like in person. So yeah, it was fun. But I think I saw a lot of people doing that, just starting little sort of Zoom cafes for people just to drop in and cope with the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, not to jump ahead, but that's kind of my second thing on
because we're into the second round.
Yeah, it seemed like a good way to jump into that. That was the second thing on my list. More contact with friends, in the weirdest way, as these things sometimes go. I think I'm more social now than I was before, and I had a pretty full calendar in regular times before 2020. I loved going out and meeting people and going to events, but there's something about, maybe I took it for granted, I'm not sure. And when I realized that had been taken away from me, I just went so far in the other direction. And now, literally, I'm not exaggerating, when every night I have a wall calendar and I write everything that's happening on it, and every block is filled. I'm speaking to someone, I've got a recording, I'm playing D&D, I'm doing something. I'm more social now than ever before, and I have enriched the friendships that I have with even old friends that that go way back. We have regular calls now. Like once a week, I will speak to friends on the phone, and I don't really think I spoke to anyone on the phone before this. I'd got rid of the phone. No one phoned anymore. I was a text message guy or an in-person guy. So yeah, that's absolutely, I'm very, very grateful for that, because I think even when it gets to a point when we can start traveling around and we can start hanging out again, I don't think for those friends and family that are in further off parts of the world, I don't think that's going to go away. And you've sort of built the habit of staying in touch now, and that's an excellent thing.
I love that. Faye, what's your second one?
My second one, Dan, is actually you. Because if it wasn't for you, you've seen my rough draft, so let's just go with that, all right? You've seen it. And I mean, I wouldn't be with you wonderful people hosting this awesome podcast. And I am very thankful for you for giving me that shot of, hey, she's new, but let's go for it.
Well deserved. I mean, I put you through your paces before you even spoke on air, so
yeah.
You.
and you're a top-notch book coach, and because of you, and I'll say it on air, this is going to end up being a series. And
Whoa.
That's a big
Yeah,
commitment.
it is.
yeah,
This is a public episode as well. This isn't even just for Patreons.
I know.
I know.
This is out there now.
Well, I'm humbled. Thank you so much. Like I say, like, because I'm always going to bounce things back, but you know, you do the work. It's all you.
Yeah, but if you weren't there to be like, all right, do this, all right, you're close, but what about this? Then, you know, I wouldn't have that incredible backstory scene going on.
It's very exciting
Hint,
work.
nudge, nudge.
Very exciting work behind the scenes, definitely. And yeah, it's a privilege to be a part of that journey with you. So I'm excited to keep that going and see where you go with it. Holly Lyne.
Okay, so when you're asking Jon about, you know, what you've, you know, preconceived ideas or whatever that have changed this year, my second one ties into that.
Ooh.
I had a very fixed mindset about the conditions I needed in order to write. And it was very much, I cannot write with the kids around. Well, I've not had a single child-free day in 9 months. And it turns out I can. I can write with the kids around. And I'm very, very thankful to my other half for fielding the children at times, not only when I'm recording, which I've been doing a lot of this year, between this podcast and Unstoppable Authors and Indie Fire. It's been full on. And all the writing and all the sprints and nano, and I've never done nano with no childcare before.
And smashed
and
it.
I did it and I won. And so yeah, I'm really thankful that I've had that realization and that I've managed to shed that fixed mindset, because, you know, it was holding me back. It was undoubtedly holding me back. And I've been so much more productive this year than ever before, despite everything. And it's because I had to let go of that idea and let myself try to write with the kids around. And here we are.
Blow all those bullshit excuses out the water.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. There is something about, and this is something I'm experimenting a lot with at the minute, is just constraining yourself. And just in the moments in which you have less time, you do more. Like I was so focused on that when I was in my old day job, and, you know, dad, full-time job, all of that shit, and still trying to be as productive as I could. And my big worry was, because I'd done it before, in which, so when I went full-time April last year, that was my worry. You suddenly have all this time and you're like, okay, now are you going to get that work done? Is it going to stretch? Where does the procrastination come in? And I'd run my own editing business about 5 years ago for a couple of years. And that was my problem, was that I wasn't productive because I had all that time. But the minute I had those constraints, I could. And this links very nicely into my next one. Segue, love it. So my next one is, I am incredibly thankful for the circumstances which keep me at full-time authorship. Because as people probably learn from this podcast, from the Next Level Authors podcast, my full-timeness isn't made up entirely of writing fiction for myself. I have ghostwriting clients, I have my fiction, I have my mind has fully just blanked. I have obviously like the author services and stuff I started offering, and I think there was a fundamental shift in my mindset this year, which has unlocked what I'll go on to when we talk about what's happening next year. Just in terms of the way that I see writing and see my business. And I actually recorded a couple of Next Level Author episodes earlier today. One thing that I said in there that I stand by 100% is, at the beginning of this year, I felt like a professional writer. Now I'm finishing the year feeling like a professional author, because in terms of like I've grown it in confidence in terms of like being able to deliver my craft, being able to support other people, being able to vocalize processes, and just feel like I understand a lot more about the industry and, you know, how people work and how people's processes work. And things like boot camp, as much as, you know, at its core, it's always going to be like, I probably wouldn't have done it if there wasn't money involved to begin with. And that is good in terms of like my income. Like the fact that I got to work with 17 authors all working together, all trying to hit that nano, and I'm similarly to John, I'm a very mindset guy. I'm a very productivity, habits, tactics, all that kind of thing. And I got to experience 17 different people and how they write and the journeys they take and the hurdles they come over. And so much of that is just fed into ideas for what I can do, what I can try and bring for next year. And obviously I've been saying it for months, I'm working on a productivity book. And so much of that feeds into there as well. So I think just the fact that I do feel incredibly, lucky is the wrong word, because I do feel like I've worked hard to get here, but I feel incredibly thankful that I am full-time and I'm still able to carry that on into 2021.
Just on the boot camp as well, before you jump over, because I was talking about starting to feel more positive towards the end of the year. And I specifically said around the start of November, and I fully credit that, I think, to the boot camp. And I don't really have a point to make other than just it really was such a great experience writing along with those 17 other writers and the community. Everyone's mentioned it here. That was such a great experience, and it's not on my list specifically, but I am very grateful that happened, because I feel like it was just the moment where things started to turn around, and then there was so much positivity, there was so much energy in that group. It was fantastic. And I'm sure we'll be hearing so much from a lot of the people who were involved in that group. We've already had Sam. She was episode 65, I think, that just went out when we were recording this. I fully expect we'll have more people from that group on the podcast before long.
More than likely, absolutely. I don't know. It sounds really sort of woo-woo to say, but there was something magic about that. Like, it's not often that you have the right circumstances with the right group of people, with the right objectives, with the right just timing and systems and everything. And like, just everyone was connected by the love of writing and trying to smash into that goal. And yeah, like, although like for a lot of it, there were points where I deliberately took myself out, because I know that particularly, I know there's moments where you guys need to mingle and do your thing and like drive yourselves without me having to like whip behind you. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because I'm definitely going to be running one next year for November. It'll be interesting to see how that works out and whether or not that can be replicated. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's one
The
of
class
those
of
slightly...
2021 has a lot to live up to.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I wouldn't blame you, Dan, if you were a bit there was a bit of trepidation about doing it again, because how can you be lucky enough to strike gold twice, but
Daniel fucking Wilcox, that's how.
But yeah, fingers crossed, it is amazing again. Yeah,
fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely. Faye, what's your third one? Fear.
Sorry, I don't know if the people will see the video. I got up twice because my printer is like possessed and it was making so much noise that I had to shut it off.
Is it just printing like a massive, just like text middle finger?
No, it was just the ink head going back and forth, and I'm like, what is going on? Anyways, my third one is actually all of the writer friends that I have made, whether it's through our wonderful Slack channel, people like Yanni, or if it's over at the Rebel Author group, just everyone that I have talked to has been an absolute sweetheart in every way, shape, and form. There is not a bad one in the bunch. Again, you can really just reach out to anyone and be like, hey, and say your question, and you'll get a genuine answer. You won't get a fuck you, I'm busy or anything like that. You'll get a real person. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's this community through and through. Like I can echo that so loudly. Harley.
Okay, my third one is not writing related.
Cool.
I am extremely thankful for music. So yeah, I'm
just hearing ABBA in my head, sorry.
I know, I keep getting that in my head at the moment. Yeah, so when I was very young, I used to perform on stage and stuff, and I used to sing and act and dance and all of that. And I used to get crippling stage fright about singing. The acting was fine, but the singing petrified me. And I stopped singing like in front of people for 20 years, I want to say, because I'm older than I look. And this year, my son's guitar teacher basically gave me a big push and was like, because he'd like made me sing in lessons occasionally, tricked me, tricky customer. And he was like, he gave me this woman's number and was like, she can help you singing lessons and improve your voice, and I think you should go for it. So I did. So I started having lessons, and Emmy is amazing. She's the most enthusiastic and supportive teacher ever, and she's really helped my confidence. But Bren, my son's guitar teacher, like, he invited me to join his band, and I've been singing in front of other people, not an audience yet because live music's still illegal. But yeah, in front of the band. And I had not sung in front of anyone but my immediate family for decades. And I'm singing with a band. And like, it's so far out of my comfort zone and so amazing. And it's changing my life. It's amazing, the confidence that I'm getting from it and the experience. And just, I have music like in my life in a major way. And it's made this year better.
Gonna make me cry.
It's awesome.
Yeah. John, follow that.
Oh, I can't follow that. I'll just echo, because I actually hadn't written a third one when we started recording. I haven't copied anyone. Someone else has said this, but it is true. I wrote it down before we started that joining this Great Writer Share has been something that has been great for me. I had done some podcasting before. We've spoken about it. I interviewed Dan, but I just didn't stick with it. It's so much work. It is so much work to put together a podcast. A lot of people don't realize it really isn't just a case of sitting down in front of your computer, jumping onto Skype with someone and chatting. Although it does kind of look like that sometimes, there's a lot of prep, and it really is difficult to keep putting episodes out. So I drifted away from it, but I always loved doing it and getting the opportunity. Dan, when you invited me and Holly and Faye as well to join, it was just what I needed at exactly the right time, because I sort of needed to be dragged back into it. I was doing an infrequent podcast with my friend Zoe, but it's purposefully erratic, and it's just a disaster. No one should listen to that podcast ever. We still put episodes out, but they're absolutely not for human consumption whatsoever.
You're going to guarantee people listen.
What's the podcast called, John?
The podcast is called A Nice Chianti. And
I was going to say, if you weren't going to say it, I was going to put it in the show notes anyway.
No, it's fine. I'm not hiding it. Myself and Zoe, we get drunk, we drink wine, and we talk about films, and we both have fairly out there film taste, because we both are. I'm a horror writer, and she writes about horror. She reviews horror, very, very extreme horror movies. So they get pretty out there, and we get pretty drunk doing it. Anyway, I'm going way off topic. I'm not here to talk about Chianti.
That sounds like the perfect podcast. So what are you talking about? It's not perfect. Yeah, I'm trying to make it sound as bad as possible. Just trust me, you don't want to listen to it, and you shouldn't. But I had to get dragged back into doing podcasting, because I don't really, I've got podcasting in my Twitter bio or whatever, but I don't really consider myself a podcaster. I love doing it. I love meeting people through it, and I love chatting about it. But it just it's I find myself as a storyteller first, and I'm so grateful that you kind of came along and pulled me back into the game, because I'm not sure I ever would have done it
off my own back, and I'm very grateful just for the opportunity to meet guests, but just to meet you guys and to hang out and to do this. It's been awesome. It's been awesome.
You were the one I wasn't sure was going to say yes. And be honest. At the time, I was very much like, I hope he does, but I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. But
I'm a little bit aloof. Yeah. And I'm always probably the one as well. Dan won't say this, but I'm probably the one that cuts it closest to the wire to deliver a new episode.
That's me.
We don't want to pull at that thread now. This is a nice episode. But on that vein, obviously, like to give you guys credit as well, I was in full transparency looking at what I did with this podcast. It was a lot of work just for little old me around other things I was doing. There was the pandemic, there was all the other like just stuff with life and everything, and like there was a point in which the consideration of ending it had come up, but I stubbornly could not. I couldn't really face doing that again. And then the idea came of just like collaborating with people, because, you know, I'm apparently one of the collaborators. I was gonna say the collaborator, but Jay definitely has that mental. And yeah, off went the hunt. Episode 50 happened, and here you guys are. So
I think you kind of trumped Jay, because you came out with a book called Collaboration for Authors. He didn't.
He has that. Well, no, he has co-writing for authors with Joanna Penn. He did do the forward to my book, so I now own him. Jay, if you listen to this, I love you. But yeah, my final one. I'm just torn back and forward, like a couple of things. To begin with, I wasn't sure, but I'm going to go for quite an not obscure one, but quite a wide one, which is I'm thankful for the internet. Because without the internet, none of this would be possible. Like no KDP, none of like the Kindle revolution, none of like any of this interaction. Like when the pandemic hit, if the internet didn't exist, the world would have shut down. A lot, like considerably worse. Yeah. Like I write post-apocalyptic books. I know what happens. And yeah, I just think I don't know, as much as there is a lot to complain about with the pandemic, I do think that circumstantially, the era we're in, we're very, very lucky to have this kind of technology where we can just reach out to people. Like I've been able to keep in contact with my parents, my family, friends, the whole shebang. I've been able to Google whether or not I have coronavirus symptoms, so I can, you know, panic at home. Like there's a lot that the internet can give us, and I don't know who invented it. I think I know, somewhere in the back of my mind. I watched a documentary once, but anyway, it's I think if there were any times for it to have happened in the last 20 years, this was probably a better year for it to happen. You know, silver lining and all that. So yeah, that's my final one, which brings us nicely on to let's shut the door on 2020. Remember, this is New Year's Day after all. We've spoken about what we've enjoyed. We've gotten soppy. Let's move into 2021, the realm of possibility, because we say that nothing can be worse than 2020, but we haven't yet experienced it. So on that positive note, what are people wanting to achieve with their 2021? Faye, you go first.
Of course I'm going first. My top thing is to publish my book by the end of Q2. So look for your summer read around May, June timeframe.
I love it. I'm so excited. John.
My top one. So I didn't publish really anything this year. I didn't do a lot of writing. As I said, I had a slump. But I'm sitting on a couple of drafts that could be knocked into shape. So I've kind of split. I've chosen 3 things. I think we're doing 3 each. And my top one is to publish 1 novel and 2 novellas in 2021. So I have a novel that is kind of written already. That's the novel. I have a Halloween novella that I want to get out for October. And I'm sure there's going to be something that I need to do as well. There'll be some other idea that I want to do. So that seems like a good, after a very, very lean year, to get 3 books out, 1 longer, 2 shorter, is what I'm aiming for.
It's been a lot of production this year.
Yeah, definitely. Hiding in my cave and writing and trying out weird ideas, but not much public facing stuff apart from the episodes on here. So yeah, definitely a lot of production.
Nice. Holly.
Yeah, so this year my sort of word for the year was publish, and I published 8. I was involved in 8.
Holy shit.
No, 9 publications this year, but
Wow.
none of them were new fiction in my name only. So next year, that's my focus. I want new fiction in my name only. So I've got 2 works in progress that I want to put out in the first quarter. And then I want to get my new Felix Jones Mysteries series started. So I think one of the current works in progress is a novella, the other's a novel. So it'll be, yeah, I think a novella and 2 or 3 novels. Two. Yeah.
Let me try that again. Is that set in stone now?
I suppose so.
Beautiful. You heard it here first, folks. My first one is one that I actually set at the beginning of this year, before the realization of what it would take to get there. And I'd like to, by the end of 2021, be in a position to drop my ghostwriting work, because I learned just through sheer force and experience this year that it's very hard to write 20,000 words of ghostwriting words a week and also write your own fiction, which, you know, there's a lot could be read into that. But I still managed to get When Winter Comes out. I still managed to keep up with ghostwriting stuff. It was a challenge. And my issue there is the fiction creation obviously is a certain muscle in the brain. And I need to basically work out, or part of the end of this year was try and work out what I could do with the other side of my brain in order to free up some of that and just, like, what's the word? Just creatively, or just creative wise, I was spending a lot of energy in just creating imagination and fiction. And it's like, it's fun, don't get me wrong, like it's not a bad position to be in. But in terms of my own imagination and creativity, I felt that drop in the last couple of months. My fingers are in a position in which they're starting to ache, and that has me worried because I'm 29. So my focus for the first 6 months of 2021 is to essentially just work out what services, what support I can provide to other authors, to work out other avenues for income that don't necessarily require me typing a lot, which will mean cutting down on my own personal fiction. But I do also have about 5 or 6 different things that I want to do next year with my own fiction that doesn't include new words. So I'm going to be box setting When Winter Comes. I'm going to be audiobooking When Winter Comes. I've got an edit of They Ruin, which is book 3 in the Rot series, to finish. We've got an audiobook of They Remain, which is book 2, to come out as well. And a few other things where I just want to clean up those loose ends, get into a position in which that's cleared while I'm not slamming my fingers against a keyboard for words as much. So, you know, I'm really, really happy with what I have achieved this year. And it's nice to know I'm capable of that, but I don't think that's sustainable long term. And I'm in this for the long term haul. So that's where I'm going. I want to be in a position to drop the ghostwriting so that when I do write, that's entirely my own fiction.
Good plan.
Number 2, Holly.
Oh, okay. I really want to get ads working and profitable this year. So I signed up for Mark Dawson's Ads for Authors course, which I haven't finished. So I'm on a mission to get that finished and get implementing everything and get at least Amazon ads, maybe Facebook as well, if they will let me, because Facebook are dicks. So yeah, that's I need to get that working.
That's such a, like, it's such a tough nut to crack.
And
it's a killer when you go in those groups and you see people just like smash it first time. And you're like, come on, like, because you got the gods of Zuckerberg and Bezos, Jeff Bezos, and it's down to them as to whether or not they pick you up. You're just playing in someone else's ball pit, but make it work. You can make it happen. Believe in you. John.
So I had a goal in 2020 that I was going to do, and it didn't happen because COVID happened, which is I want to shoot my short film. So I've got a short film written. I've got lead actress already sorted out. I've got a guy that's going to score it. I've got an editor lined up. got everything lined up, but I just couldn't shoot the film that I wanted to. So over the course of 2020, I rewrote the script to try and make it slightly smaller scale, slightly more achievable. And it's just something I want to do. We've spoken about my love of film. The reason I started writing fiction was because I couldn't understand as a young man in a very, very small town in Scotland, the road to Hollywood felt like a very, very long way away, and I couldn't quite figure out how to make these things happen. So I started doing what I could do just myself, which was I could write stories in prose form. But I love film. That's the direction I want to start taking my writing and my kind of creative career in the future. So a short film seems like a good place to start. It's a very, very achievable premise, but excites me with enough interesting technical challenges. I've written it very intentionally so that it hits all the little things that I want to deliberately practice in my filmmaking. And I've actually already signed up to a film school. It was one of the things that I got in the Black Friday deal, something I never look for. But there was a couple of Black Friday deals for some hands-on practical film classes, because there's a number of film schools in London. I'm very lucky. So in March, I start doing some of that. I'm going to shoot, and I want to shoot this film. Yeah, so that's mine, and that's out there. And I've publicly said that at the start of 2020 or the end of 2019 as well. But I didn't anticipate a global pandemic, so I'm giving myself a pass.
How
for that
could you
one.
not?
Yeah.
Faye.
So I'm actually gonna jump back for a minute because I'm super excited to see Jon's movie now. And just as a public service announcement, because we are all writers and we all just kind of crunch over our keyboards, remember to stretch out your hands, your fingers, your wrists, your forearms. My other half is actually suffering from carpal tunnel-like syndromes this week, so it's been a rough week. But stretch it out, take care of yourself. It is not that important that you just let it all go.
Yes, 100%.
Moving on. I hope to I can't believe I'm going to say this. I hope to participate in Nano next year. I'm still working on the details, because for any of you that have been constantly listening, which I hope, I'm a hunter, and October, November is hunting season. So things start getting a little difficult when it comes to managing my time and whatnot. But fingers crossed I can do Nano. I'm hoping by the time Nano hits, I'm like halfway through my rough draft on the sequel now that I just decided. I don't know. Big dreams. Here we go.
You're going to change that to I hope to I will?
We'll see.
It was worth a try. It was worth a try. That's a good one, though.
I would if I knew for a fact that, okay, I can do this every single day, but I still need the first quarter of 2021 to really feel out my words per day and stuff like that, and prepare for Nano. Because if I'm not prepared for Nano, I'm not going to do it. It's just too much stress.
That is a big thing for me. Like, I would have got involved in Nano a lot more over the years, but oftentimes it has coincided when I'm halfway through a book already, or I'm editing a project. And I think it's a lot easier sometimes if you're a first-time writer to find that sweet spot of just using that as your excuse to go. And I think that's what Nano is really, really good at. But yeah, sometimes you have to kind of either force the stars to align, or just you get lucky and it works. But that's a good one. I like that. It's gonna be fun. Mine. So I think pretty much everyone's aware of this, but like one of my big revelations this year is just my push towards just generally working more with authors. And so the short version of this kind of journey for me is that I worked for about 4 years within a marketing department. I went very, very quickly from like assistant to manager. It was stressful. There was lots going on. I had a young child at the time. He's still young. He's just not as young. He's alive. I've kept him alive. I win. And like when I became a full-time author, I realized that I was sick of working around people and being around people for a while. So there was such pleasure in being able to be solely in control of my time, my work, what I do and when. And one thing that's come of this year is like, I've always wanted to be able to help people and provide some kind of like positive impact on people's lives in one way or another. And this is going to go into full cheesy territory, but it's always been something that I wanted to do. And having lots of things align this year and getting into a position where I'm now able to like help authors, and again having that feedback where I can see that I'm actually having a positive impact on other authors, I just want to double down on that. I just want to use the things that I've learned over the past however many years in like self-development stuff, in terms of like mindset, health, exercise, all that kind of stuff, and just keep pushing forward and using that and doing a lot more of that in 2021 on different scales. So obviously like boot camp is quite a small niche group. Book coaching's one-on-one. I'd be interested to see if there's anything I can do that's like bigger than that to help people. I do have like a newsletter that I've started putting out once a week, in which it's just digesting the top 3 things that I've learned that week that can help authors. So that could potentially grow and go on a bigger scale. But yeah, I want to grow that side of things and just kind of see what more I can do now that I believe in myself. John, you go next.
After a year of being kind of stuck in London, I want to travel. So that's my big one. I had a lot of trips and things planned this year. I generally travel quite a lot. I like to go and explore and adventure, and that was impossible this year. I also travel quite a lot because of my day job. So that is going to be a big part of my year. There's a couple of trips that that specifically I want to take. So a few friends in various far-flung reaches of the world that I want to go visit. I want to get over to back to Helsinki. I want to get to Berlin. I want to get to Japan. There's people I want to visit in various parts of the world, and I'm just basically going to go and crash on as many sofas and things like that as I can, or stay in places and go on the road. I really just want to do that. I want to get out and see the world again.
Don't blame you. Faye.
Me again? What?
Oh, wait, have you done 3?
I've done 2.
Yeah, so
this is the third one. Yeah,
it's you
that
again.
was my third.
Jeez, it's going so fast. I didn't have another. Sorry, I didn't have another writing one, but my third goal for 2021 is actually to cut back on sugar and to get back into working out, because unfortunately, one of the symptoms of corona is difficulty breathing. I have asthma, so I can't breathe anyways. But I do know from just past experience that if I am more fit and I run, I can breathe. So I'd rather not spend 2021 getting more gray hairs and worrying about whether or not I have corona.
Makes total sense. How active are you at the minute? Okay,
Yeah.
Next question. Fair enough. Holly.
Yeah, my third is I had this as a goal for 2020, and I met it in general terms but not specifics, so I'm carrying it over. So it's to grow my platform. So I want to get on more of the podcasts and do like guest blog posts and stuff, and get out there a bit more, raise my profile.
Raise the roof. That's a good one. My final one is sounds a bit contrary to my first one, which is to do slightly less fiction, to focus on other stuff. But I love the idea of being able to pitch a novella or something to some form of publisher and just getting a book in the hands of another house. Like I have Devil's Rock Publishing, which is obviously mine, that I'm publishing and doing bits and pieces through, but there's something about going through that experience that appeals to me, because number one, it's always validating to have other people pick up your work and to publish it and whatnot. For I think in a weird way, it's almost like a research way, it's a research purposes as well, because it would just be interesting to see what it's like for another house if when they pick you up, what the contract looks like, how the terms of communication, all that kind of stuff. Because I've had short stories in anthologies by other people. I want to go for a longer work. But I did have an experience, and I won't name specifics, but I submitted a short story. It was the first short story I sold to an anthology, and the guy was fantastic. The communication was great. He was very, very excited, and it all went wrong for me when he showed everyone within the anthology 4 covers that he was looking like, 4 different ones. He was like, "Oh, we're deciding which one." And there was one which I was like, "Please don't pick that cover. It's atrocious." And that's the cover that was picked for the actual anthology. And immediately, like, all of the wind gets blown from your sails, because you're like, it's just like. And when I say it was bad, it wasn't good. Like, it's not just me being picky. It just really wasn't. And I no longer advertise the fact that I'm in that anthology, because I'm not exactly proud of it. Like, the stories in there are great, but like, there's just something like you want to be part of a polished product. So yeah, all this to say that I'll be interested to try and submit a story to some houses and see if anything gets picked up. Sweet. Does anyone have anything else they want to add in terms of like thanks, in terms of what to achieve next year, before we jump into some other sections?
Thanks to the listeners.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Without you guys, this would not be possible.
Hell yes. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to everyone who's on Patreon. I might be able to, I was going to say I might be able to pull up the list, but I'll miss out some names, but you know who you are. Anyone that's supported on Patreon this year, well, since the show started, back in July of 2019. Thank you guys. Thank you. You keep us going, keep us wanting to do this. You help us bring knowledge and impart wisdom onto the world. Bonus question that I'm not prepared for, that just came into my head, that I think you're going to find very fun. Should we? No, this could be dangerous territory. I'm going to ignore that one.
Do it.
There'll be a reason. I'll tell you guys after the show, but there'll be a reason why I won't say this one. Okay, so we are doubling this episode up, and we've got a couple of Patreon questions just for the general crew. Faye apparently has a secret question. So do you want to do that one now, or do you want to do Laura's first?
We'll do Laura's first.
Okay. So the incredibly talented Laura Kendrick, the woman of many disguises, many voices, and many lip-syncing videos on Instagram, asks, the world goes even more to hell in 2021. What are your plans for the upcoming zombie apocalypse? Are you going all Negan and taking charge? Are you off to the pub to wait for it all to blow over? What is your Z-Day plan? I feel like
After
one
all the
person in this room. Yeah, after all that optimism, I feel like one person in this room is going to be very prepared. 2 people might be very prepared.
I have got.
For the listeners that I don't know if this video is being shown or not.
I think we should show the video if people are happy.
I held up a book of The Zombie Survival Guide: Recorded Attacks by Max Brooks. So I'm kind of prepared, but yeah, I think I'll Negan it. Definitely.
John.
I'm going to go, as a lifelong zombie fan, zombie movie fan, and I'm one of those people who thinks that Romero's Day of the Dead is the best zombie film ever made. Not Dawn. Everyone thinks Dawn, I think, predominantly. I think Day of the Dead is a masterpiece. But anyway, that's not relevant. I just wanted to talk about Day of the Dead because I'll always take an opportunity to talk about that movie. My plan has always been, a couple of you guys have heard me talk about how much I love the cold. I'm a weirdo and I like having cold showers and ice baths.
Mhm.
But it also works. Logistically, it makes sense to me that a zombie would not do well in the cold. So I'm going to go somewhere where it's snowy, because they've got no body heat. They're going to just freeze up, right? They're just going to become frozen lumps of meat. I'm going to be completely safe at the top of a mountain or something like that. It's the perfect time of year. We're just coming, it's winter now. So that's my plan, is I'm going to stay somewhere cold where it's snowy, watch all the zombies freeze as I sit next to the fire drying off after running out nude in the snow and cooling myself down and jumping into brook or something like that. That's
I
gonna
got
be
a spare bedroom, John. You can stay in there.
Thank you, especially since I just said I was going to be running about nude outside, and you're still offering me.
I'm wondering if that was the trigger.
You're still offering me bed and board. This is great.
Well, I should say that the spare room is like its own little apartment above my garage. So
I
you
also
can
like the fact
go
that
in there.
are you nude because of the swimming, or because I'm wondering, like, if the zombies are going to get cold
just
from the
wanna
cold,
be
why are
nude.
you nude? Because you could keep yourself somewhat warm while like I could wear 1,000 layers and run through the snow, and then I'd still beat the zombies.
Oh yeah, this has nothing to do with the zombies. I just want to be nude in this scenario, because I'm going to be one of those guys, right? That's going from the very. I want to do the very. We were talking about this in one of the boot camps. Obviously, that won't be useful for anyone other than the few people that were on the boot camps. But I want to go to some really, really cold place, because the problem is I can't get cold enough in the UK. In London, it's too warm. It's not cold here. I want to go somewhere where they've got the sauna, and then you run outside and jump into the hole that someone's cut in the ice, and you dive into that. Normally they're naked when they do that. In my head, we're all naked.
No.
So.
It's called the polar dip. Usually happens January, February timeframe. And they're not naked. They have clothes on.
Well,
maybe
yeah, but
over in like Reykjavik, but not.
Yeah, you're coming from a US kind of perspective. Over in the European kind of Scandinavian Nordic countries, everyone's naked. We're all doing it naked over here. So that's what I'm doing. I'm bringing that nudity to America. I'm bringing it to the States.
In Norway.
I like the part that Faye's having trouble digesting is the nudity part, as opposed to like the zombie part.
Yeah, no, I've completely derailed this whole
good
zombie
with zombies.
chat. That was just a passing comment. The fact that I was naked, we really seem to be getting hung up on it.
It was quite. I did pick that up. It was quite confusing, but that's fine. You like it's your zombie apocalypse.
Hey, I'll do me. Yeah, you do you. I do me. Yep.
I know Faye will survive because she's got the hunting thing down, and
it's all Laura's fault. It's all Laura's fault.
So I might try to get to you, Faye, to give myself the best possible chance, because this kind of thing comes up often, like, how would you do in the zombie apocalypse? And I'm always like, I'd be screwed, honestly. Like, I have no survival skills.
I got plenty of space.
But I do have my guide to surviving the zombie apocalypse. I created this a couple of years ago. It was sort of a way to role play getting fit. So can I read a little bit out? Is that okay?
Yeah,
please.
Okay, so point 1, don't be dead weight. Shed serious poundage fast in order to avoid being the juiciest target in a crowd. Don't be the slowest and get left behind. And then I've got outmaneuver the dead, build strength so scaling walls and fences is a breeze. Anyway, so I have a plan. I need to enact the plan, but I've made one. I also have a spot picked out, a place that we're gonna try and grab early in the early days of the apocalypse and make camp. It's got security fences and it's got an area to grow food, and so I think I'll be all right. And we have a batleth, sharp pointy weapon. So
hell yeah,
we'd be sorted.
Wait, can these zombies run?
This is the question.
Yeah, they're shambling, slow ones. So they.
Let's say yes.
Are they the traditional zombie?
Yeah.
Or.
And my question is, who's nude? Who's nude in your scenario? Like, is anyone nude? No.
Everyone.
Why? Why would they need to be nude, John?
There wasn't enough nudity for John.
You and your crazy European ways. All right.
Sorry, I'm in Patreon only mode, and I keep forgetting this is going out on the live feed. I apologize. This is normally the kind of chat I reserve for the behind a paywall stuff, but there you go.
Yeah.
For people to enjoy more of John's inappropriateness, head on over to patreon.com/greatwritershare, where you can get all behind the scenes access. I also think that when you were reading out those points, Holly, that it just reminded me of Zombieland. Just like Jesse Eisenberg's character when he's like coming out of all like the different rules, like the double tap, and
gotta find the Twinkies.
Gotta find. Woody Harrelson in that film is everything.
Yeah.
So I don't have a solid plan, but I know where I'm going to go, and where I'm going to go is to B&Q or to whichever warehouse is nearest, because they have those stacks of very, very high metal shelves. They have a lot of pointy weapons. They have a lot of flammable things. Most of them are right next to supermarkets as well. So, I think particularly in the early stage, I think it's either that or find somewhere very secluded to hide. So I think I want to tackle it head on and see what my chances of survival are, because if I can't beat him in the early rounds, I don't deserve to live.
Oh, that's harsh.
The biggest thing about the early rounds is to stay put, though. Like any zombie movie or any zombie book will prove, in the early stages, there's pure chaos. Hello, 2020, just saying, no toilet paper?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
There's pure chaos. Stay put. Wait till the first waves kind of fade out.
Yeah.
Then go.
So we should be doing it now then, because we've had the first. That's it.
That's it. The vaccination
We've
is
stayed
happening.
put. We've had lockdown. Now it's time to run to your.
Genuinely, the minute they announced the vaccine, I imagined the first scene of I Am Legend. Just we found the cure. Okay, well, thank you, Laura, for sending over that question and for zombieing the beginning of 2021.
Yes.
Faye.
All right. So if you don't do it, that means you hate our Patreons and all the listeners. Daniel. So I got a fantastic message from J Middleton. And he says, seeing how he has mentioned it on the podcast, can we please hear a song with guitar, magic tricks, or juggling, with preference being in that order? And you're on.
Wow. She really just did that to you.
Holy Christ.
I can juggle, so I can go get some juggling balls.
Oh, man. Just a song.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Any song. It doesn't have to be Britney.
It could be Oscar Mayer Wiener. I don't even know if you guys know what that song is, but...
Is Dan juggling as well? I feel like we should all do something. So I'll do juggling. What are Faye and Holly?
I'm gonna drink my juice here.
What can we do? I've got some apples here. Hold on.
For this, man. And I've got headphones everywhere.
If you sing,
and this is why people should become patrons.
I'll sing.
You play something that you know.
Yeah, if you can play something I know, I'll sing along, and that'll be my trick.
I'll do, because I like this one and it's fun and it's upbeat. I'll do Jamie T, If You Got the Money. I'm not going to play the whole song because it's a podcast and we're not going to do the whole thing.
And I'll just try and juggle in the background in the video. I've got apples. I'm going to totally destroy my apples.
I will also say that I recently moved back in with my parents to save a load of money for house, and they're going to hear this and be like, what the hell is he doing up there? 29, Dan. Okay.
I just learned that I can't do it sitting down. It's really difficult to juggle sitting down.
You can't juggle sitting down.
Table. The table's like right in where my hand's going to go, and I don't know. Hold on. I'll come into it.
If you got the money, I think it would be funny. Oh, take your girl, spend a bit of your cash for me. Then she might be happy, no longer lonely. Oh, and I can take her out the next day for pretty much free. I spend late nights trying to pick up love off the floor where the other brothers leave it be. Though we're stuck hard down, it's like chewing gum. Wild girl on the floor, I sing my R.I.P. Cause the songbirds don't do singing on pavements. No sweet melody, the sound of spit. Spat orbit, spoke with lost hope. Do what you're told, man, choke on it. We be near heaven at 11:45. By 3 we are thinking of the love we lost. By 4 we be high, thinking that the girl lost second to the odds. Was it worth the cost? Do you give a toss, or are you looking away, wondering why you can't eat, why you never sleep? Drunk all the time, cold in the heat. What you sow, man, is what you reap. If you got the money, oh, I think it would be fun, yeah. Take your girl, spend a bit of your cash for me. Then she might be happy, no longer lonely. Oh, and I can take her out the next day for pretty much free.
Whoa!
In perpetuity.
Nice. That is the perfect way to ring in 2021.
Cool.
I only managed one tiny little bit of juggling, and I was like, this is going to be a disaster. I'm quitting. I dropped out.
Oh man, I don't know where to go from that now. I'm very, very warm. So thanks for that, Faye. Thank you, Ian. J Middleton, if that is your real name. And I was going to say I'm going to embarrass him, but I'm not going to embarrass him. Check out his books. He has some fantastic short stories in a collection called Ominous. I've been working my way through. They're awesome. So pick up a copy of that.
Is Dan quieter for anyone else, or have I?
He's quieter for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Something happened to your
Just a
mic, mate.
smidge.
Maybe I broke this while I was doing it. Hello. Any better?
No.
No.
I know why that. No, not sure why that is.
Strange.
You broke it, Ian.
Ian.
Way to go, Ian. That's what you get.
Is that getting louder?
It's the same.
No. Wow. I'm not sure how to fix that. I'll just
Maybe the guitar threw it off and now it's expecting to hear the loud guitar instead of the quiet voice.
let me just. Maybe we'll cut this bit out. Maybe we won't. Let's change. That will change. Am I back? No.
Well, we can hear you. It's
just quieter.
It's just quieter.
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever happened to my mic. So to round off this episode, we had in a Patreon Q&A last month, November, 1 month. It's 2020. It was 2020. A challenge for each of us to come up with an elevator pitch or a blurb for a book that wasn't in the genre that we write. And forgive me, I don't remember everyone's genres or what they were asked to write. So I think we should just go around and announce what we were told to plan and what our blurb is. Although Jon has written an entire script for his.
I've gone slightly extra on this one. So when we started, so I'm not going to do the extra. I'll circulate that privately amongst anyone who requests it. But I've tried to change it into more like an elevator pitch, but it's not as strong anymore because I literally sat and plotted out an entire romantic comedy that got really, really dark and essentially became like a romantic like black comedy. Like it's really, really pitch black darkness because it gets kind of weird. And that's what I've got. So romantic comedy for me.
Go, Jon. Read yours. You started.
Should I go for it?
Yeah.
So as I say, this is from, I've just lifted this out. So the pitch I don't think is super strong without all the supplementary material that goes with it. But mine is called Real Love. And it's essentially about a woman, a very career-driven, ambitious woman who doesn't really have time to do the whole dating scene. But mine also, because I'm like a sci-fi horror writer, mine is set in this sort of Black Mirror future where you can get ultra realistic artificial companions, I've called them in my pitch, that will fulfill all your desires. And she purchases one because, as I said, she's a busy woman. She doesn't have time to do the regular dating, but she still has needs. So she has her artificial companion, and it gets very unfortunate when the artificial companion really begins to have genuine feelings for her and starts to want to publicly display this affection, which in this world, because this artificial companion is really essentially that would have the same, is essentially a sex doll. So when you have a sex doll running around in public shouting its love for you, it gets a little bit awkward. And that's essentially what the romantic comedy is about. But like I say, I've got a full pitch document for this film, and it goes to some weird places.
I mean, it starts in a weird place. My question: who would you have to take the leading roles?
Oh, who would I cast?
Yeah,
that's a fantastic question, and I wish I'd thought about it.
Maybe when we come back to.
Let me think about it. While you guys are telling your pitches, and I might have one before that.
Okay, who would like to go next?
I don't mind. I can go next. So, Dan, you challenged me to write a genetic sci-fi pitch. I don't have a title. I realized as soon as Jon said his, I was like, I haven't got a title. Okay, so mine's just a really more like a tagline, like real. So, in a world where people's DNA is programmed in utero in order to fit them for certain roles in society, what happens when a soldier develops a conscientious objection to the war he's fighting?
Well, I'd read that book.
Yep, I'd read that. That sounds awesome.
You're in the wrong genre. Nice. Yeah. Faye.
Okay, mine's totally crap.
Don't say that.
Well,
You did listen to mine, right?
Yeah, yours is better than mine because mine's so vanilla. All right, well, I don't have a title either because I didn't know we were doing titles, John.
Sorry. I told you I'm pretty extra on this. I really hit it. Like, what's your genre first? Because I don't
Police procedural.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, once upon a time, there was an ambitious young detective named Kira. Every day, she worked hard to prove that she belonged. One day, she comes home after her shift to find her home has been invaded. Because of that, her daughter and husband are missing. Because of that, she uncovers an awful truth hidden in the clues. Until she is able to confront the criminal, save her family, and prove she is as good as men.
I like.
I don't
That's a proper Pixar pitch as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Thank you, Jay Thorne, for the layup.
Thank you, Jay. Oh, he's always getting everywhere, isn't he? Okay, so mine was a cozy mystery. And yeah, this is kind of my blurb. So when Samantha Tinepole arrives on Duchess Pennyaple's doorstep, proclaiming that she is the long-lost daughter of her husband, the Duke of Wellington, her whole world has been turned upside down. Even more so when just a week later, Samantha once again goes missing, and the body of Laura McTavish, Samantha's mother, is discovered in the same place where the Duke's long-lost daughter arrived. Police turn up no leads, and in desperation, the Duchess turns to Falmore Trivet, a disgraced former investigator who still bears the stains of blood on his own hands. And yes, you can ask the question, why doesn't the daughter have the same surname as her mother? And I'll give you the answer. I didn't realize until I read it.
I just want to know what was with the voice.
The voice is great. I love the names. It's great.
Yeah, that was good.
That was fantastic.
Okay, for next Patreon episode, we all have to write these books, right?
No.
Don't make me come over there.
No, do come over here so that we can all get together.
Yeah, I'm kind of
Well,
worried
that's
as well.
besides the point.
Yeah, I'm worried that I might have upset some cozy mystery people, and I might get some letters.
But it was all for fun.
It's all
Just
that's
fun.
fun, as long as we're making fun of people. Who? Go on, John. Who would you cast? Did you?
I didn't come up with a good one, and that it's such a good question. I'm really going to put some serious thought into it. I'm going to put some serious thought into it.
Yeah, you've got to have. I always forget his name. He's a fantastic actor. The guy that plays Vision in Avengers.
Paul
yeah.
Bettany.
Paul
Paul
Bettany.
Bettany, yeah.
Paul Bettany. He has to be the sex doll.
That could just be Vision.
Could just be Vision. Vision is the sex
Vision
doll.
is the sex doll.
Maybe that is the
an artificial
Vision...
companion, please.
Maybe that is the Wonder and Vision series.
Yeah.
It's called Wonder Vision, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's starting soon, and I'm so excited.
I know. I just signed up for Disney Plus literally last night. I think it was. Yeah.
Wow.
I so because
Binge
of all the
everything.
there's so much.
There's so much. That's just everywhere. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think that brings us roundabout to a close. Does anyone have anything they want to plug? Any last minute words or comments?
Well, now our listeners know what they're missing on becoming a Patreon.
Yes.
As well as
we do
so
this
much
every
more.
month.
Mhm.
We do crazy stuff like this, and John goes deep into the dark depths of his brain.
Why am I getting singled out? Am I really that much of a problem?
You were talking about being naked and then a sex doll, so you're the dark one this time.
Sorry, everyone. So yeah, you could, yeah. And you can have
It's fun.
Uncensored Skype call with me at a high grinning tier.
This is how we're starting 2021. I will shout out, just unless you're willing to, Holly, about Unstoppable Authors as well. Do you want to give a shout out?
Yeah. So if you want even more of me, I'm one of the co-hosts at Unstoppable Authors, and we do interviews and discussions and chats every week on a Monday about this author life.
Yep, find out about myself and the infamous Sacha Black at Next Level Authors podcast. And I'm also going to plug as well, because I've just managed to sort out, and I say just, this goes live on the 1st. For anyone who wants to get involved in a version of bootcamp, I have set up a monthly bootcamp for people that want to get involved. All the information is over at www.danielwilcox.com/bootcamp. But the idea is basically community, writing, and productivity. So if you are interested, get over there and get involved. And I guess from all of us, have a fantastic new year. And let's, smash 2021 and make it in some way. I think it's going to be hard to beat 2020, but I think, let's give it a go.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, and see you on the other side. Bye. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Great Writer Share podcast. From all of us here at the Great Writer Share podcast crew, we wish you a happy and fruitful 2021. Don't forget you can get early access to every episode of the Great Writer Share podcast and the chance to ask guests any of your questions just by becoming a patron of the show. All you need to do is visit www.patreon.com/greatwritershare and support the show for as little as $1 a month. One more time, that's www.patreon.com/greatwritershare. Until next time.